Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Oh my goodness, I've had a chaotic morning. So crazy. Actually, just been running around, and in the middle of everything, my daughter's car broke down, so I'm running around getting her car keys to the mechanic, and it's just like everything always happens in the one morning, right? All right, I can see someone's there watching. I have no idea who it is. You have to say hello down below so I can say hi back. Okay, let's get started. Hey Tammy, great that you're here. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, so I don't know if you guys did your homework. I don't know if you guys downloaded the customer checklist that we went through last week. I'll show you what it looks like. It was a PDF that you can print out, and it really dives deep into defining who your customer is. And it is super, super important to do that, because otherwise you're trying to serve everyone and you end up not speaking to anyone, if you know what I mean. Hey Amber, fantastic that you're here too. Awesome. All right, so this week's webinar is the number 2 in the series, and it's all about, now you know who your customer is, if you did your homework. Now what, right? What now? So I'm sorry, I am going to be reading. I've got quite a bit to get through, and I've got more notes in my little magic book. So yeah, you've really got to think who your customer is so that you know how to speak their language, all right? So where do you use that? And one of the things in that whole checklist was where your customer is, okay? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? Are they in your local area? Are they reading your local newspaper? Find out, you need to know where they are so you can actually speak to them, all right? Sometimes they might not be on social media at all, and I have a few of those customers. They may just check emails only. They hate social media. Perhaps that's your customer. Email marketing is probably the strongest form of marketing yet. It definitely works hugely for me. If I do an email out to my customers, they are way more tuned in. They're way more interactive. If I'm not talking to them at all, they forget about you because there's so much noise in the marketplace now. I mean, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming for me, and I'm trying to do social media as a marketing form all the time, and I find it overwhelming. So your older lady who doesn't really know what they're doing on Facebook is even more overwhelmed, okay? So basically, now that you know where they are and who they are, you really need to start speaking their language into the channels that they are listening to, all right? It's really, really important to define who they are, your ideal customer, and then really try to talk to them. If you try and serve everyone, you end up serving no one, okay? Because they're not listening. If you're not talking to them and their problems and their desires, then they tune out. There's too much going on. So you really need to niche down and focus on who your ideal customer is. Now you might think, I sell clothes and everyone wears clothes, so therefore, I can speak to everyone. I don't have an ideal customer, but it just doesn't work that way. If you're not speaking to who your ideal customer should be, then that person, they won't hear you, okay? You can't serve everyone, and if you try, your message will get lost in the madness of social media or, marketing. You might think, yeah, I need clothing. Everyone needs clothing. But if you don't focus on your dream customer, no one will hear your message. So both in your marketing and your buying, it works across both boards. So this checklist is really, really helpful for both. We've all been buyers. I've been a buyer and even for what I do now. Even though I'm a vendor, I still buy what I think is going to sell sometimes even before I've shown the line, right? And we've all bought that thing that we thought was going to be amazing and sell out like crazy, and then it doesn't sell. And why is that? It's because you purchased it based on the fact that you loved it. You bought it with your own emotion rather than thinking about what your customer actually wants, okay? So you need to find out what they like. How do you do that? You guys, if you've got bricks and mortar stores, too easy. Ask them. They're in your store. Ask them what they like. Take notes. Write it down all the time, keeping track. If you've really got to focus on getting their email addresses. I cannot say that enough. Their email addresses are super important. And next week's webinar, we're going to talk about the different marketing channels and how you can go about getting their emails, and also what you do with that. Yeah, to find out what they like, you can do surveys. There's actually Survey Monkey or something like that. There's a website that you can use to actually have them, that you create the survey. I think it's even free if you only ask a couple of questions. It's free, and then people actually fill out the survey and send it back to you. And then you're like, oh, okay, you do like t-shirts. Okay. In your social media, if you've got that set up already, you can do polls. I don't know if you've tried any of that, but yeah, you can ask them a question and then give them a bunch of answers to choose from. Well, I actually did one just 2 days ago, and I listed my colors in my collection. So there was aqua, navy blue, the coral, bright coral pink, the splash, that pale greeny color. And I listed all my colors. And when I went to bed, okay, here in Australia, I'm on that opposite time zone. So when I went to bed, navy was the clear winner. And I'm like, yes, I love navy. Look, I do. And when I woke up, aqua was double what navy had been. And then the other colors, your splash and your, my mum's texting me. Yeah, my other colors were just so underneath that. But so it was aqua, far double navy, and then so for everything else. So that is really helpful information for me going forward, starting new collections. So yeah, you can do surveys, you can do polls, ask them questions in their stores and take notice of what they're wearing in their stores. But you can also look at your reports. Do you all have point of sale systems? Do any of you have point of sale systems? How do you keep track of your inventory and your sales? Most of the point of sale systems these days have great reporting features in the background. And if you set up your inventory, if you set up your inventory, when you set it up into your point of sale system, agreed. Thanks, Amber. Set it up with categories so you can actually run reports and see what categories are selling. What is your number one category? Is it long sleeves? Is it short sleeves? Is it, you might be able to run reports based on colors. What colors sold the best? Is it t-shirts? Is it caps? Is it souvenirs? Whatever, what categories you have. And you can really look at your categories and dull down and really analyze your reports, especially in those quiet months when your store isn't busy and you don't have inventory coming in all the time. That's your time to dull down on your reports, run your reports, get it clear before you start doing your buying. Now with your having defined your customer, then you can also look at your branding. Okay, and you can use colors that suit your branding, colors and wording that suit who your ideal customer is. If your ideal customer is a man, then your colors are going to be more masculine. If it's a woman, then they might be more feminine. If you are a tropical store, which I think most of us are, tropical for women, your branding, your logo might be pineapples, but for a man, tropical might be a sailboat, right? So really think about who your customer is when you make those branding decisions. Also, consider what words you are using very carefully. Speak the language of the age group of your customer, okay? So if she's an older lady, speak like she would speak. Use her language. If she's a younger girl, then she's, you know, into TikTok or whatever, then you need to speak that language. And then make sure the branding, the colors, the wording, the logo is in everything you do. Okay, it needs to be on your website. It needs to be on your social media. It needs to be on your emails that you're sending out. It needs to be in your store. It needs to be across the brand, the whole thing, across the board. Okay. When someone comes to your website, the visual aspect of your website is what the first thing they will notice. And I've seen the stats on this. There's something like when someone comes to your website, you have literally 3 seconds to make them decide stay or go. 3 seconds. It's crazy. And you can't get too many words in that 3 seconds. It's all about the visual. So yeah, it's not long. And whether they click through, half the time people, you can actually, if you've got a website, you can look at the back end reports and see how long they stayed. Sometimes with my website, it's like it really wants to call me. Okay, so you haven't got long to make them stick around. Okay, the same thing on your socials. You get a shot, make sure it's a good one. One of my social media gurus just last week happened to have a look at my Instagram page, and she came back to me, and you know the highlights reel that you've got where you can put all your stories into highlights? She's like, your thing is all over the place. You need to put like cover shots on all that. So I spent that day updating that. So now if you go to my Instagram profile, you will see there's all the highlight reels, but they're all aqua blue with little tropical images on. So it looks the part. Okay, so just think about that. Every little detail. The same with your Pinterest, if you've got Pinterest. Okay. Yeah, so make sure if you're sending out email newsletters that you've got the same branding there, the same colors, the same images, the same wording, and it's all geared towards your ideal customer and the things they love. All right. Now, you might have a few different customers. You might have men and women, or sometimes your ideal customer is not the end user. For example, you might have a line of a little children's area. Well, your customer there might not be the child. It's the grandma who's looking for something to take home for little Johnny. Okay, so because you've done that customer definition, you've really got a lot to draw on, okay, when in your socials and your newsletters. And you can use it all in everything across the board. So for example, if you know your customer likes nice coffee, then you can do a nice post showing yourself having a nice coffee before you go do your new window display or something. You know, you're speaking to them, they're like, oh, I like coffee too. And when you talk to them in a setting that you know they will like. Now you guys with bricks and mortar stores, that's pretty easy because most of you have beautiful displays in store, right? So you can be in different areas of your boutique at all times. You can be on the sidewalk showing the sale rack or whatever. But yeah, make sure you're talking to them in a setting that they love. Your backdrop is so important. Well, I hope you like mine. What does my backdrop tell you about what I sell? Okay, I'm tropical. I love the islands. I love swimming, and I wish I was there right now. And most of us do, right? So make sure your backdrop is visual and paints the picture of what your branding is. It's all part of it. It's part of your social media, your emails, your website, everything, your backdrop. Okay. Socials, in your social media, it's really, really helpful if you can do live videos. And it takes a lot of courage to press that live button, let me tell you. And I've been doing this now for just over a year. I actually really only started January last year doing these lives. Before that, I was creating videos and then I was uploading the video, but that gave me, I could get on and I could do that video 10 times and adjust what I said till I said it right. Or, you know, that I didn't stutter or go or any of that. But lives are way more effective, and actually your customers don't mind if you say a few times, you know, it makes you real. So yeah, work up the courage and try to do lives in your social media. You don't always have to do them with the same backdrop. Like I said, you can be out on the sidewalk or in different locations of your boutique. You can show different displays in store. Make sure your branding is what your customers love. Make sure you are always, everything about what you do is speaking to your customer. With your wording, make sure you're addressing their pain points. And pain points was something that was in our customer checklist. You know, what can it be? It could be, don't know how to put an outfit together, got a wedding to go to this spring, a beach wedding. Anyone need help with putting together an outfit for a beach wedding? What shoes do you wear to a beach wedding? Yeah, so make sure you talk to them and help them solve their problems, okay? Sometimes perhaps they don't know what to buy for their husband for his birthday, or their grandkids because they're going to visit their grandkids in Ohio or wherever this spring, okay? Also, what are their objections to shopping with you? Now, that was also in the checklist. So if you've thought about all these things, then you're armed with things to talk to your ideal customer about. Okay, what are their objections? Do they think you're too expensive? Do they think whatever? If you can address their objections in your videos and your posts, you can really help them to overcome their objection why they don't want to shop with you. Okay, what are their problems? Really define their problems and help to solve them. It could be a blog post that you use in your socials, or you do a live about it. Not traveling at the moment? Do you need tips to overcome cabin fever? Like, help them solve their problems. Always be thinking. Money can be a huge objection. Maybe the husband says no. Then in your socials, start speaking to your husband. Well, how does that make her feel? You know, he might need some science behind it. Don't you want your wife to look cute? Isn't it better if she feels good about herself? Don't you want her to be happy? You see what I mean? If he is the one who has the purse, the wallet, you know, speak to him. Do posts in your social media about their problems. Engage them, ask them, talk to them, just be relevant, especially nowadays with COVID and everything that everyone's been through in the last year. Everyone's got cabin fever. Everybody can't wait to get out. Now it's just been snowing across the whole of the United States. You know, things are starting to thaw out. Don't you want to come to Florida? Don't you want to come to Siesta Keys, wherever, you know? Yeah, really try and talk about their problems and engage them in your social media and your emails. Now, they might have different problems. It could be external problems, such as if they're too hot or they're too cold or they've gained weight over COVID is a good one. And perhaps you've got things to tick the boxes to help them still look cute, even though they've gained weight over COVID. Then the internal problems are how these things are making them feel. And then you can speak to them with empathy about how they feel about their problems. You know, you shouldn't have to put up with that. You do deserve to look good. You didn't deserve a year without international travel. But hey, come to Florida. Remember us when you do. It's not your fault that we're stuck at home. You know, these are the sorts of statements you can do to try and help them to feel better about themselves. And what we're trying to do here is get engagement and keep your boutique in their minds, okay? Now, in the customer checklist, it was about their demographics, how old they are they middle-aged, are they having hot flashes? You know, think about the things. If your customer is in her 60s, what you can speak to her not only in her language, but also you'll have a clearer idea of what her problems are. And a lot of older women lose confidence in putting their outfits together. And you guys, that is your strong point, okay? That is really your amazing strong point. You can be helping them with that, whether you're a bricks and mortar or online. You know, help them with styling their outfits. If you're an island store, keep helping your customers, because when things do open up and they can go to the Caribbean, you know, it's like, you know, that girl from, you know, St. Thomas, she has really helped me out through COVID, and I'd really love to go to St. Thomas. So whatever it is, keep talking to your customers about their problems and help solve their problems all the time. Can you help them to choose the right handbag? Sometimes, you know, it also might be the husband or the daughter buying for their mum. Did you know that mums at the moment are loving these new espadrille sandals or whatever? Just answer their objections regularly in your emails and in your social media. Okay, so now also talking about using your definition of your ideal customer. You can also use that to help you with your buying, okay? Use your reports and map out your ideal assortment. Be careful not to put too much into trends. And I listened to this amazing podcast the other day where the lady, she's a boutique owner and she also helps other boutique owners, right? And she was talking about 4 categories in your ideal assortment. And now those 4 things were, number 1, something signature, okay? What is signature about your brand? Something that your brand is known for, something that your customer knows they can always get from you. Is it t-shirts? Is it caps? Is it, you know, high fashion? Is it scarves? They know they can always go to you and get a beautiful scarf, which makes a great gift. Okay, so that's one category you need to make sure you've always got your signature item. Next thing is your profit item. Your basics, your white tees or whatever, a profit item, something that your customer doesn't need to think about. It's a no-brainer, it sells. It's high value, it's low cost, it's high margins, it's easy to sell items, okay? So number 1 was your signature product. Next was your profit item. Next is your trends. So this should be, we all need to have some trends, but don't overdo it in the trends department, okay? Keep that a smaller percentage of your overall inventory. It should be a small subset of your assortment in your boutique. And the last thing, the last category in your assortment needs to be your basket builders, okay? That's your add-on items, the things that complement your brand but go back with everything else, okay? So, you know, that's earrings that match, accessories that match, the matching beach bag or hat, whatever, okay? But don't over assort in your trends category, because you will end up trend heavy and not have your basics to fill in those gaps, okay? Now, is there anything else? If anyone's got any questions, now's a good time to type them in. I've got a bunch of other things in here. Yeah, so it's all about how your product solves the problem of your ideal customer, okay? To find your ideal customer, then you need to make sure you've got the product or the skills to help them. Identify their needs, Are they craving clothing that's loose and comfortable? Are they craving soft, natural fabrics that don't irritate the skin? Are they just looking for high fashion things to wear to a spring wedding, a garden wedding? What are your customers' biggest dilemmas? What is their biggest problem? And if you have bricks and mortar, you're talking to them, you know what their problems are. Think about that and then use that in your social media, use that in your emails, use that in your live videos, okay? Yeah, you definitely need to improve your customers' lives. So how can you improve their life? Can you offer styling advice? Can you make a styling guide? Something like that. Styling guide for spring. What's happening for spring? Colors for spring. Help them, define your customer and then find ways you can help them. All right, just going through my notes to make sure I've told you everything that I had written down. And analyze those reports, girls and guys. One really good report for online stores and even actually bricks and mortar is your return customer rate. Can you actually run a report on who your return customers are? Because I tell you what, it's a lot easier to get your existing customers to buy than it is to find new customers. Okay, so while that's your bread and butter, keep those return customers coming back, keep them happy at all times, okay? And then in the other side, you can be starting to generate new customers and getting them to come in. Also think about your average order value. If it's low, then you need to figure out ways to increase that. How can you increase it? Can you get at those add-on items? That's where they come in. You know, if you've got your average order value, and that should be a fairly easy report to run out of your system. If it's only $35, then you need to be selling them the hat to match or something. Okay, you need to work on bringing that up. If you're an online store and you've got them adding to cart but not checking out, why is that? Really look at how your website is working and see what is the problem, what's stopping them. One of the ladies said her average order spend is only $35, right? But she was offering free shipping if they spend $100. Well, $35, they'd have to triple that to get to that free shipping, and then their customers like, yeah, I don't really want this that much to get to have 3 of them to get the free shipping, okay? So really analyze how your customer is thinking. And the same thing happens in store. You know, they go in and try on 6 things. What are the reasons why they're not buying it? What are the reasons why they only buy 1? Think about it. Always think it through. Ask your customers, talk to them why something isn't working. Don't just do what other stores are doing or what you see the big guys doing, because that might not necessarily work for small little boutiques like us, okay? Another thing you can look at doing is bundles. You can do that on your website or in store. For example, if you buy a tunic and the beach pants, we will give you a hat, or you'll get the hat 50% off, or whatever. Think about what you can bundle to offer them value and get them to spend more to bring up your average order value, okay? So next week, I'm going to talk to you about email marketing. How you can get their email addresses, some tips on how you can get that. Have you guys been collecting your customers' email addresses? I've got some great ideas on how you can make them give it to you happily to get your weekly newsletter or your styling tips or whatever. And then also looking at your social media and which one, because that's overwhelming in itself, isn't it? And even for me, you know, it's like there's Instagram, there's Facebook. there's TikTok, there's Pinterest. Where is your audience? That's the bottom line. You need to be talking to them where they are. If they're not on Facebook and they're on Instagram, and that's maybe an age thing, maybe the younger people, maybe the 45-year-olds are on Instagram, but the 65-year-olds are on Facebook. I don't know. You need to know your ideal customer to have the answers to this. And the email marketing, you need to be emailing them a newsletter at least once a week, just to keep you in their mind. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, I hate all that junk email. If they don't want to read it this week, they can scroll on. But if you are addressing their problems, they're going to want to open your email. Okay, and then you're going to be in their mind all the time. Okay, is there a question? I missed last week. Oh yeah, Tammy, go back. It's like just scroll down probably about 3 posts and last week's video, and there's also the download that you can download. It's 3 pages of questions that will help you really dive deep into who your ideal customer is. And when you've done that work, and if you've got staff members, you can ask them to do it too, because often they're talking to the customer as much as you are and they've noticed things. So yeah, go and watch that video, download it, do the work, and then we can start next week talking about how you can email them and how you can get your customers' email addresses. All of you need to be doing email marketing. It is super, super important. If you, even bricks and mortar stores nowadays, you can't just have your store and hope they come. It's not a lot of work to be emailing them once a week and saying, you know, this week we've just got a shipment from West Indies where or whatever, you know, whichever lines you carry, Escapada or, you know, whatever. You can be talking to them, or, you know, how are you doing? You know, have you, you know, you've gained all this weight during COVID. You know, we've got some new plus sizes. If you're looking for something fresh for spring, come on down and see us, okay? It's about getting your email opened. So you've got to be addressing their problems to get them to open your email, and then getting them not to forget about you. And, oh yeah, I haven't actually been down there for 6 months because I've been locked away during COVID. So yeah, get them back in store. All right, guys. Losing my voice. Thanks for tuning in. If anyone has any questions, please send me a message or put a comment below. I'm happy to answer questions as best I can. And yeah, tune in next week for the webinar about how to get their email addresses, some tips on how to do that and what to do with it. All right? Okay, chat next week. Thanks so much for tuning in.